Hello, let's look at your MT5 LT5 seminar. We're going to look at proving right triangles congruent. Before you start the lesson, do the first 4 questions and then come back to the rest of the lesson. So what I want you to do in this lesson is I want you to use right triangle congruence theorems to prove relationships in geometric figures. Because right triangles happen so often, they have their own special way of congruence. And what happens is you can't use these unless it's a right triangle. And since it has to be a right triangle, we kind of ignore the right angle when we talk about it. The first one is called leg-leg. So if the two legs of your right triangle are congruent, automatically it's congruent. Notice we don't use this very often because if you don't notice it's a right triangle, you would just say side angle side and you'd be done. Yeah, that works out fine. Okay, the same thing, not the same thing, but similar fashion, we have hypotenuse angle. So if I have the hypotenuse congruent and one of the acute angles, those triangles are congruent. We could have just as well said angle, angle, side. That would have worked. But instead, since it's the right triangle, let's say hypotenuse angle. Another one, similar to that, is leg angle. So if I've got two right triangles, and I know the legs of each of them are congruent, and one of the acute angles are congruent, then that would be leg angle. And notice that would be just a special case of angle, angle, side if we treat the right angle like any other angle. Now here is the special case. This one we can't do it another way. That's called hypotenuse leg. So if I've got two right triangles and I know the hypotenuses are congruent, and the legs are congruent, or the corresponding legs are congruent, that makes those triangles congruent. Notice if we treat the angle as any angle, you'd have side, side angle, which we just said in the previous lesson, you can't use side, side angle. So hypotenuse leg is our special case. It's a special case of side, side angle, but your angle has to be right. So it's a right triangle theorem. If we just apply that to a problem here, it says Craig and his brother are planning a house, or painting a house, I'm sorry. The brothers use ladders that are the same length, so notice AC is congruent to DF. If they place their ladders in equal distance from the house, will the ladder reach the same height? Well, yes it will, because hypotenuse leg, those two triangles are congruent. And that's where we use hypotenuse leg the most often. Okay, now you should have enough to work on your assignment.